Nah, nah, nah. The world don't get no better. Thinking for you and me. Ba-dum dum dum. Ba-dum dum ba-dum dum ba-dum dum ba-dum dum. Man, I got my channel popping. What's up, y'all? It's Mr. X. Keep your hand in my pocket. I'm here. Giving you what you want to give you what you need. Give me a round of applause. I want to give a special shout out to my wife, my beautiful wife, greatest basketball player the female basketball player the Capital District has ever seen. I was playing with some young kids yesterday, even about 35 and 20, 8, 9 assists, and she was busting them down. And we're trying to make some change here using the round ball the right way. So in the early development stages. Uh, but we here now. Hopefully we can sustain this thing a little bit so it can be unbelievable. But yeah, I just want to give her a special shout out. Get that out of my pocket! Get that out of my pocket! As you see, the title is, I usually deal with sports for the Export Show, Sports Revolutionary, Black Hot Fire Network. Channels are always getting taken down because we bring the Black Hot Fire and, we don't hold our tongue. With these people out here, they got everybody pausing, talking about this jab, jab, left cross, uppercut. And so people got to use code words because, like any sanction on black people is an economic base for white people. Meaning, when we start doing things to get free, they engage in countermeasures. This is part of the defense budget that never leaves. So you got people getting paid to watch channels and see if it's subject to banishment because of the subject matter and the language being used. So we have to be cognizant of that. I did a show with Brother Phil Valentine and a professor. His name slips my mind right now. Curtis Cause, Brother Curtis Cause, and they struck the channel immediately. Like I prayed pretty good for that for that interview, putting that thing together. Uh, but it sucked um, that they struck it. It was like a 2 hour video, very good information. Did it on the Black Wi-Fi Network, did it on the Gene Pocket collaboration, and it was dope. But they struck it, and so I downloaded it, and these dudes are so connected and thorough that somehow they got into the phone and deleted the video. I have 3 videos downloaded to my phone. 2 of them are Malcolm X's speeches, and the third one was the Dr. Phil Valentine and Purpose Cause interview, and they got rid of it. They got to it. Now I've lost downloads before, strangely. I don't know if it just clears itself out after a period of time. I'm not sure, but I was tight. I was tight. But some of the subject matter, I guess it's old, right? Because we in the age now where, man, listen, things move fast. And so you could be news right now and get put to the back of the burner the next day. I don't know, plane to crash, I don't know, meteorite, um, um, versus some type of uh, party or something, rapper gets shot, anything can happen, and the news pushes you back. And as content creators, you're dealing with people wanting to know your take on something that is happening with someone that is well known, right? If you look at these names on the feed, John Gruden, former head coach, Las Vegas Raiders. I haven't watched football in so long. I didn't know they moved to Las Vegas, so I'm out of touch. Deontay Wilder, former undisputed heavyweight champion, and Kyrie Irving, NBA champion, and saver of LeBron James' legacy. um, and with other things going on within the media timeline, like the verses that just happened. This is a very anticipated versus. I may deal with that in another live feed, but I really don't like to deal with it. But I do like KR's one because he's a true speaker. And so I support that brother because he's not someone whom is bought out by the establishment. And if you have a conversation with him, oh my God, there's news from that brother. Like your head swells when you talk to him. It's not nigger shit. You know what I'm saying? And so I can appreciate his political stance on things. It's more revolutionary than others. It's provocative, thought provoking, and it's something that we certainly should be engaged in terms of not just using it. Great. He's great at what he does. He's a Hall of Famer and all that good stuff. One of the greatest MCs to ever live. And his craft, but respecting New York grassroots person. And I love Brother KRS-One. You watch him Hidden Colors too. If you guys haven't watched the Hidden Colors series, and man, he's dropping. It's perspective. I'm big on perspective. That's my thing. That's my thing. I like to try to deal with some history that people may not talk about. But I'm big on perspective. I give the same information that the previous person did, but I'm gonna look at different angles, right? Like I said, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So there's more than one way to look at a particular situation. Um, and so going into the subject matter today, we start with Deontay Wilder, right? We like extreme polarization. One thing I saw Minister Farrakhan speak on years ago in terms of assassinations and things like that. Obviously having to deal with the Malcolm X situation almost every year. And it's basically, as he said, a ploy to one, get young blacks to try to kill him, and two, separate young blacks from the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, which is etched in nationalism and nation building. And they want young black children away from those teachings because the American social order is built on black dysfunction, especially the destruction of black men, right? It just lays some things on it. So you have a polarizing situation between Deontay Wilder and Tyson. Now, the heavyweight boxing class is awful. It has not been good since the 90s, early 2000s. No, yeah, the 90s. The 90s was pretty much the last time heavyweight boxing was really in. It was something that, hey, this Riddick Bowe fight versus Vandy Holyfield, it's going to be amazing. Everybody, I remember growing up, hey, man, y'all going to watch the fight? And you had these two brothers standing toe to toe, didn't really like each other. Riddick Bowe didn't like nobody. But he was very talented. Riddick Bowe, man, very underrated boxer. I like Riddick Bowe. And he had those amazing matches with Evander Holyfield. And I think he was a better boxer than Evander Holyfield. But all these different things happened with his career and all that, and his personal life, and he abdicated the belt. And I forget the reason why he did it. They didn't go into it heavy, but I think really because he stood his ground as a black man, and he seen the forces of evil that was the governance body of boxing. I mean, if you want to see a example of racism at its highest order, it's it's the governance body of boxing. Some of those named individuals, Tellum and not Tellum, but I forget the guy that Floyd Mayweather had issue with or took issue with, and would no longer do business with, and they were doing that with Manny Pacquiao and all that stuff. So a lot of treachery was going on. As a matter of fact, Manny Pacquiao got in the match where he clearly outclassed, I forget the brother's name, Timothy Bradley. He boxed him. He just destroyed Timothy Bradley in all three fights. But they gave him the first fight, which set up a trilogy. But even Timothy Bradley knew after the fight he had lost. Then when he declared that he won, he all of a sudden, his brother, man, Pac-Man is he's basically a white boy, Filipino, and it was one of my favorite boxers. But because of the race that they on hold, I like Manny Pacquiao. I rooted for Manny Pacquiao against Mayweather because I'm not a big fan of Mayweather. And like I said, I'm a fan of Manny Pacquiao. I love his style. I love his strength. Um, his dedication to his people. We can learn a thing or two from Manny Pacquiao, especially how he spent his money. He kept fighting because he was spending his money building up his nation. He's also a politician as well. Trying to build up his nation, trying to use that money to change the fortunes of poor people in the Philippines. So he would come to America, box, and use himself, put himself on the line because he's up there in age. Eventually, he's going to suffer one of them devastating knockouts that changes his life. He almost did it, was able to recover from it, but he's still out there boxing. But um, in any case, um, the heavyweight weight class is just awful. And so if I had to do a boxing rating between these two heavyweights, Tyson, Fury, and Deontay Wilder, I had to put them in the 70s. This is how bad they are. They're not very good. I had to put them in the 70s. And Wilder has no strategy, no technique, no form, no discipline, no stamina. Just no, 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 no. And all the weaknesses came out against Tyson Fury. Now, because the division is so weak, he has a mighty right hand. And that right hand will knock out Jesus Christ if he hits you with it. The thing is, that's all he's got. There's no trying to set it up, and people aren't good enough to avoid it, and they go in there scared of him. Some go in there without even really fighting. So they just kind of stay away, and say, hey, you're not going to knock me out. I'm going to stand for 12 rounds. So you stand for 12 rounds, getting beat up. And then they have a repeat match of the same type of fight. And we have to watch that. And it's just deplorable. It's just deplorable. And so finally fight someone with a level of skill. Tyson Fury has some skill, has some technique, but he doesn't have much of a chin. So he gets dropped, I think, a total of 5 times in 3 matches, and he's an undefeated heavyweight champion. Well, 11 rounds, Tyson Fury outclassed it. Deontay Wilder. Now, Wilder did knock him down 2 times in a round, which got him back into the fight. But that's only reason why he stays in the fight, because he knocks uh, uh, Fury down. And again, I'm just upset with one brother being pro-black. All right, you put yourself out there. I heard the statements he made. I did a video. I did a video on the second fight, and I was saying you go back and look that up. I was not happy at all. I was, I laid into him, but I did not want to see another fight. I didn't think he had a chance against Tyson Fury because he just is not a good boxer, and Fury's good enough to defeat him. It's plain and simple. He just doesn't have it, and let's get to. He got beat by a white boy, a big, slovenly, fat ass, milkshake smelling, diarrhea looking white boy, and he made us look bad. Now, can any of us beat that white boy? Probably not. But you're living embodiment of us, brother. You are Ogun. You are Abatila. You are Allah. You are God. And you are representing your people, as we said. Even if you didn't say it, Joe Lewis, you still are a representation of our people. And it's incumbent upon you to destroy, in any and all capacities, any white challenger who steps in front of you. Even Anthony Joshua did that, beating the hell out of Klitschko. Actually, it was a good fight. And I had watched a bunch of Anthony Joshua's fights. I want to say last year. I just, looked at fights just to see his set and everything like that. And then he just loses to Ortiz. And I watched that fight, and he got knocked all around and everything. And these guys just don't have chins. They can't take punches, right? They're arrogant, and they can't make adjustments. Joshua rushes in after he wobbles somebody. And uh, when guys are exchanging, trying to protect themselves and stop a potential knockdown, they start swinging for the fences. And Joshua gets hit by one of those punches and drops like a sack of potatoes. Like, goddamn, you niggas, I got another skill technique. I watched Roy Jones and Muhammad Ali in their greatness. Ali never got stopped the way Wilder and Joshua knocked out on the canvas, picking up his mouthpiece the way Mike Tyson did. You know, unfortunately, yeah, we seen Ali uh, um, on backed into the corner, back to the ropes, getting pounded on excruciatingly. It was devastating. After he won the heavyweight title, he came back down and won the light heavyweight title and Tony Tyler. But once he fought him, the way he lost, that was the end of his career, pretty much. So you want a guy to go out like no count back. When I light heavyweight, stayed in the same division his whole career, just like Marvin had. It's a technique thing. Floyd Mayweather, when he moved up and got comfortable at, I think, 145, maybe highest was 154, he stayed there. So I'm going to stay here. I'm going to dominate. I'm going to dominate this division. I'm not going to bulk up. Guys were setting precedents of mistake making. You see, Jones going all the way. He started at middleweight, then went to super middleweight, then light heavy, then heavyweight, then back down to light heavy. All that changing of the body and very little rest, trying to challenge himself to make the public interesting. See, people knew Roy Jones would win. It's just like he outclassed everybody. His division was weak. Excuse me. His division was weak. And so there were certain things he had to do. He had to take certain chances to keep the interest of the people. So, he'll play basketball, he'll rap, all these different things to increase his Q rating. Do movies. Then while filming the movie, he'll box in the middle of the movie and, well, all his attention because who did that? Lennox Lewis did that and lost his title. So it's like, all right, I'm gonna do the same thing. People think I'm gonna lose. They'll develop that interest. They'll come in, and then I'll whip this guy. And that's what they do. You drop the dude like 5 or 6 times. Some Spanish fighter had an impressive record, but in terms of the type of people he fought, it just wasn't there. So Wilder has the same record. So he faces Fury. And the political climate we're always in. You're a heavyweight champion. This is Max Schmeling versus Joe Louis. And Joe Louis lost to Schmeling, and then he beat him the second time, whipped him good, and then became fast friends. So it kind of just defeated the whole purpose of him boxing Max Schmeling. You see what I'm saying? So you have I don't know if you have a legitimate hatred, but no one's really ready to step out into that, hey, this is a black-white thing. Like the Floyd Mayweather versus what the hell is that dude named Conor McGregor. And only in a white supremacist society do a white dude who's never boxed before a day in his life, Jake Paul, who's also like 6'5", 200-something pounds, wants to box Mayweather. This is what these motherfuckers do. I think I could take on Mayweather. Well, you should, you 6'6", 245-pound motherfucker. You should be boxing heavyweight. Floyd Mayweather should never come out your mouth. But he went in there and Floyd Mayweather was whooping his ass and holding him up so he wouldn't get knocked out. Mayweather don't deal with race. He deal with money. He deal with dead crackers. So he always going against the grain. There's never on code. But when white boys stepped in the ring with him, he got in their ass. That's what he was supposed to do. Now you have a pro-black brother who says my people for 400 years, and the cool nigga like, what you talking about? Man, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. How dare you say that, black man? You know exactly what we're talking about. You acting like race don't exist. And so that clip went viral. And that's when I thought, oh, who this brother? I got to support this brother. Go ahead now. And so he started knocking people out. Good. Then I saw Fury box, move, slide, move his head, jab, hold, grab. Tactical. So if I was to give Wilder a 71, I would give Fury a 77 because he's still fat and slow, and you know they try to make more of him than what he is, but he still got a cake for a jaw. Tries different antics, you know, to be appealing, and he's just a big slovenly motherfucker who looked like he's the muscle in the white supremacist group. But he knocks out Wilder in the 11th round. People say it wasn't even close. I saw highlights. I didn't see the entire fight, so I watched a good 40-minute highlight package put together. Well, basically, it was from the 4th round on. And when I started, Wilder looked exhausted. And he looked like that last fight, too. And he's just not built to go 12 rounds. I think he should have left Fury alone. I think he should have got a couple wins under his belt. The same thing happened to Sonny Liston. Sonny Liston lost back-to-back times to Muhammad Ali. And when you're this imposing figure that's unbeatable, even though Liston had already lost in previous fights, that could have been thrown fights fixed by the mob. And people got you as this overwhelming underdog, underdog favorite, overwhelming favorite, and you lose. Then the guy that you lose to becomes a black Muslim. Then you have a rematch. What was that? Less than a year later, and apparently, according to him, he threw the fight. Got hit by a phantom punch, went down, rolled around on the mat to make sure he was counted out, and lost again. And so, if he was able to throw a fight like that, it's likely he threw it again. But Liston went into oblivion. I think he fought a few more times, and then he was suspiciously murdered. And I think, they still don't know how he died, but I think that, you're running with the mob, and then you get some bright ideas to break away or, not do what you're supposed to do. They're going to take you out. Former heavyweight champion or not. But that's what Deontay Wilder is now. He should have took some fights,
knocked some motherfuckers out, got his confidence back, set up the fight with Fury, or let Fury lose his title. Ali did the same thing with Frazier, lost to Frazier. It took him years to get back a heavyweight championship bout because Frazier loses his title to George Foreman. You know, and then he beats Norton just as bad as he beat Frazier. So he had to wait years to get his title back, and one of the Avengers lost. So even with Frazier having lost the title, he's like, nah, I gotta get my loss back. He's not finna just have that L on me and me not respond. Fuck that. I see the future. When they talk about our careers, he got the win, okay, but we're gonna do this two more times at least. We got to. And you got one of the greatest boxing trilogies ever, if not the greatest. I think it is the greatest because of whom was fighting in it, and the greatest fighter of all time, and the guy that his style gave him trouble, which is very simple style: bob and weave, left hook, bob and weave, left hook, and you never knew when the left hook was coming. It was coming, you just didn't know when it was coming. It was so awkward and deliberate. It's one of those punches that Ali couldn't avoid. And if Ali had fought him when he first became Muhammad Ali, oh, that would have been 15-round ass whooping. He'd have never hit Ali. But by the time he fought him after 3 years and many blood clots in his legs later, oh, he's nice and slow. I can hit him. So, in any case, Wilder loses. I think Wilder will go into oblivion. He got brutalized badly. Um, I think at this point in time he should retire. And it's unfortunate that Fury said, I'm gonna end his career. And when I heard that, I was like, you right. This is a bad matchup. It's about styles. It's about styles. Wilder cannot deal with Tyson Fury's boxing technique. He does have, as little as it is, he does have technique. He is a guy that can come up with a game. That's the beauty of I love with boxing. You can come up with a game plan and execute the game plan. And it's beautiful when, as a fight fan, you watch the fight, you see the fight plan, the boxer wins, and then he talks about the fight plan afterwards and beforehand. I could tell the guys, like with football, the defensive backs, they were having it, and they'd be like, yeah, we have a great game plan. We understand what we're going to do. We executed all week. We're prepared. Once I heard the confidence, I remember Richard Sherman saying that about Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl, Broncos versus Seahawks. And Peyton Manning threw for like 8 million yards and 75 touchdowns. And before but they was like, listen, we good. We good. We know all the checks. We watched we listen. And they beat the hell out of them. It was like Dallas Buffalo in 92. When you just ready. You're prepared. There's nothing that they can throw at you that you're not prepared for. And man, I love preparedness. Wilder's not that guy. I'm gonna hit him with my right hand. Fury had a game plan, and there was no way he was gonna lose. And so he's hugging him and just weighing on him and all that. To be grotesquely 280 pounds was by design. He gonna grab and hold when I start hitting him. And Wilder's own arms got heavy. He's holding his arms, squeezing his arms. He can't lift his arms to defend himself. So it looks like a damn Rocky match. He's trying to dodge left and right and move his head. Wilder's not a head mover. So Richard Fury, boom, 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 hitting him with combos, uppercuts. He's getting hit by uppercuts. Oh my god. Oh god. Oh my god. Lead uppercuts. Just the first punch is the uppercut. It's just, oh my goodness. Is this a video game or something, man? Oh, it was awful. Black first, Blackula, black first. I don't know if you're still here. Um, oh, it was awful, 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 awful. And so he got laid out in 11. And that's the end of his career. We cannot lose opportunities to empower our people. It's always black versus white. There's nothing individualistic about it. You are representing the entire black race. As there's ever a time to unify, divide and conquer, separate and rule. This is the strategy of the whites because of the massive numbers we have globally. They have to do that. So you control the land, control the resources, then practice neo-colonialism by putting a black face in charge, giving them minuscule resources, which will be a lot of resources because there's no resources to hold down the rest of the island or the rest of the nation. While the Western powers come in and just rip resources out of the land and pay little to nothing to get it. 1 cent of every dollar. They give it to the cruel dictator, Mobutu, confessions of an economic hitman. It works, so they're not going to change strategy. But when you have a motherfucker that can knock a motherfucker out in any round, at any time, like Wilder, and you facing this big white man who's not a bum in the essence of the heavyweight division. When they fought the first time, both fighters were undefeated. Hell, when they fought the second time, both fighters were undefeated. Young Wilder got 2 losses. White boy still undefeated. We got Joshua still, but he's the opposite. He's the antithesis politically of Deontay Wilder. Now, I would still deal with the brother for political purposes. The big, strong brother has resources, has connections, can still get a message out. It's very important to keep relations with a person like that. And no one's gonna slap him, right? But we can leave angry emails and send angry text messages. Bruh, listen, all right, heal for a year, and let's find us another white boy to beat up on. There's got to be a white boy out there you can knock out, bruh. We got to get this back. So, you know what I'm saying? Or get the next brother ready. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But speaking of white boys, let's moving on. The 3 people I chose to talk about is perfect because I don't have to find the angle, the racist angle. The angle is already there. John Gruden, a football coach for the National Football League, former football coach, had won in Oakland and Tampa Bay. Made his bones, I believe, at the Green Bay or San Francisco assistant under Walsh and then Mike Holmgren. So he learned under very good coaches. They had a coaching tree of greatness and success. And so those assistants went on to become head coaches and win Super Bowls or win or get 2 Super Bowls. So, you know, in NFL society, when you're white, all you got to do is get to the Super Bowl and you'll be coaching for the rest of your life. Now, the brothers that actually won the Super Bowl, you know, they don't really get looked at all or have gone to the Super Bowl. They disappear. So when coaching jobs open up, you don't even hear their name. It's by design. In football, remember, we can play every position but quarterback, which we're playing now. Shout out to Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is something like we've never seen. Cunningham, Michael Vick, and fucking Joe Montana all in the same all rolled into what? Or Warren Moon. I would say Warren Moon was a cerebral quarterback who had no athletic ability at all. He threw the football. He could read defenses. He can make the passes. He's actually, I think they might have passed him, all-time leader in passing yards. But because the way the NFL is now, Brady and Breeze is man, listen, it's nothing like it used to be when Warren was coming up. He was throwing the ball like they are now in the 80s and 90s, where it was cold. You can slap the shit out of quarterbacks and wide receivers. You know what I'm saying? Nobody was protected. And they played football in racist ass Houston, Texas. So coming from that school of thought, that old school motherfucking racism, boy, you need to run that ball. Now you play quarterback. Well, we got a quarterback, so we can move you to wide receiver. Motherfucker, I don't want to play wide receiver. I'm a quarterback. I've been playing quarterback my whole life. Well, here, son, we just don't have the space for you to play quarterback. We have quarterbacks on the roster. Well, why did you recruit me then? Well, we felt that you were athletic enough to possibly change positions. That you could be a tight end or running back. So you had no real plan for me. Just draft you to ruin or recruit you to ruin your career so that you don't go somewhere else, play as a quarterback, and fucking shine. Right? And now the masses of the people can say, hey, we can play quarterback. The crackers said we couldn't because it's cerebral. Now, we are the school of thought, the purveyors of wisdom and knowledge and writing. We found them out the caves and educated them. Now they flip the script on us and say we can't play a thinking man's position. And so John Gruden, whom, if I recall, has never had a black quarterback, has had minimal success in the NFL, but won a Super Bowl. See, when you win the Super Bowl, you're the man. Then he had what you call Gruden's bus, where he would have players come on and discuss different aspects of their position. Because the NFL football is majority black, as most major sports are, he would have the black players on, and the dialogue was different from the white players. As a matter of fact, especially when he had quarterbacks. When he has white quarterbacks on, and I asked a friend of mine what questions he asked, what plays this, what audibles, checks, where's the safety, linebacker, what do you see, what are you calling, what's the line changes, for all my football gurus. I'm professed to be an expert in professional football, but I learned some things. You play enough Madden and you watch enough football, you learn some things, you pick some things up. But the black quarterbacks, the conversation would be different. It wouldn't be as intellectually extensive as it was with his white opposites or white peers. Seems to me that, well, he just thought niggas wasn't that smart and I didn't want to lose them. They may not understand the play calling jargon. Well, we all looking at a playbook, right? And you a coach, you seen one, seen them all. So you're supposed to have the same conversation with me as you have with them. Doesn't seem like that's happening here, sir. So Gruden got caught for years sending emails, just speaking his speech. Homophobia, sexism, misogynism, and racism, a little bit racist. Which means there's a lot of racism, but because the American society wants to flip the script on racism, make it seem not as bad as sexism and homophobia. So CNN has the nerve to have some fat ass nigga who came out as bisexual, and ain't no man bisexual, your ass is gay. Hear it here. You are fucking gay. Men can't be bi. So now you have the well-dressed big brother who's eloquent, intellectual, right? Humble, respectful, but he's gay. So he's not a threat to white society. The Angel Mama cake mix was popular amongst white folks. Why? Because it reminded them of Mammy. The good old days where the niggas was in their place and America was the true number one nation on the planet. And niggas was on the plantation and you sucked from Mammy's titty for breast milk. She had to be pregnant as well. That's the thing that's lost on all this. She had to either be pregnant or had a recent pregnancy. So her breasts were engorged with milk. And she had to be fed regularly. That's why she was so fat. So you develop that relationship amongst the white folks, making sure she's properly taken care of. Why? So she can take care of the children. And if Mammy's in a right mental space, then the children will be reared right. Because white folks didn't want to deal with their own kids, nor did they want to breastfeed them. They knew the power in the milk of the black woman. Hell, if you could sell that shit, man, listen, it's like liquid gold. I drink something down with that. Yeah, Mr. X, baby. That's why I got 4 kids. But anyway, it was popular amongst our people, or not popular amongst white folks because it reminded them of old times, so they could see and look and see Big Mammy when they opened up their camp and made them feel good. They're not looking at Kerry Washington. The white women don't want to look at Kerry Washington. They don't want their white man looking at Kerry Washington. Hell no. Just like when Oprah started losing weight, started looking good. They're like, oh, her ratings dropped. Why? Because she lost her mammy look. Oprah, the handlers told her, you got to gain your weight back. We're losing ratings. White women are starting to think that you look a little, you're getting curvy and whatnot. Eat some turkey sandwiches. Then Mother Love channel. And Mother Love was on there. She was sassy, tucking her neck, wagging her finger at people. That reminded her of Mammy. And they replaced her with Robin Gibbons. Oh, Lord. Ratings plummeted. They watch TV and their husband sit down next to them and watch. Oh, what you watching here? Nothing. There's Sapphire on TV now. She's nice to look at. She the husband there in the chair before she is before before the show starts. They're like, oh hell no, hell no. Where Mother Love at? Cancel this bitch. And that's what they do. So they got this big nigga, gay as all hell. He's astounded and flummoxed and perturbed that John Gruden would say homophobic things in his emails and that something should be done to him or he's resigned. No, a resignation is not good enough. We need more. Well, the nigga is not working no more. What else can be done to him? And you can't call for the punishment of a white man, nigga. Have you lost your mind? These white folks got you pumped up. You can't call for no punishment of no white man. Call for it. You want something done, take your big ass down there and whoop his ass. You big fruitcake. Always calling for white folks to punish other white folks. Man, fuck that. We gonna handle it. Oh, you racist, huh? Demoris Smith got big lips, huh? Yeah, you no lip having motherfucker. Okay. All right, we gonna see you. That nigga's crying and shit. This shit is crazy. And he was a so-called liberal white. Always, always, always complimented the black players. He was one of the few analysts that didn't deal with their faults, left it alone. And black players appreciated that. That was from the ilk of the early 1900s. Hey, leave my black friend alone or my slave alone. You couldn't speak for yourself. You had to look down at the ground, and the white person who was with you or felt for you, they had to speak for you. You couldn't speak back to a white man. And so John Gruden represented that. And the slave plantation, that is the NFL, he would speak out for black players on the football field and sometimes socially. But I told you, all these crackers is devils. This is why I say that. Because the so-called cool ones are fucking crackers. Listen to the discussions of John F. Kennedy and George Wallace back in the 60s. Niggas love John Kennedy. George Wallace is like, fuck integration. I'm not integrating shit. It's a federal mandate coming from on high. The president's calling you, and you listen to the interviews, and it's like Kennedy like, come on, man, come on, please, man, do this for me, man. You know what I'm saying? You know, George Wallace like, man, listen, my constituents, man, I ain't really feeling that. You know, states, I run this here. Please, man, come on now. I'm like, well, wait a minute, who's the boss here? But see, I ain't realized Kennedy was just as bad as this motherfucker. And too many people hated John Kennedy. George Wallace was one of them. Kennedy had a lot of enemies. You gotta have a lot of enemies to get your head blown off on national fucking television. They blew his head off on national television. Blew his fucking head off. No, I'm serious. His head was off. Look at the Zapruder film. His wife grabs his head and put it back on his head. I'm not trying to be. I am kind of trying to be funny. That's Khaled coming out of him. Little Malcolm X. Chickens come over the rules. Blew his head off his head. She put his head back on his head. Come on, man. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's just open up the schools for everybody. Listen, come on now. Come on now. Open up the schools. George Wallace like, hell no, I'm a G, man. This is what they do. So they don't even deal with racism. They send a homo nigga to talk about the homosexuality, the homophobia that he was talking about, calling people faggots and stuff like that. And didn't like women, and women should be coaching and learning their places and all that shit. I don't give a fuck about none of this, to be honest with you. He quit because he was about to get fired. And quite possibly it could be over for him. Who knows? Maybe a few years later he'll get on the staff again because, he waited a long time and was good at what he was doing. The white man does not get fired and goes into oblivion. He gets transferred. John Gruden will be straight. But it's letting y'all know it's a lesson in liberalism because he presented himself as the top liberal in the NFL, save Pete Carroll in Seattle. And when niggas come out, I'll play and I'll vote for John Gruden and I'll bring vouch for Pete Carroll and I love my coach and all this other shit. These old happy slaves, a nitty full of slaves. They want the plantation owners want happy slaves. No one wants a grumpy slave. If you're grumpy and always asking questions and looking mean and breaking shit, we getting your ass out of trade. That's what they do. Plantation politics. So Kyrie Irving, and I'm gonna do this one quick. The point guard for the Brooklyn Nets has decided to not take the jab, jab, left, right cross, and has been told he cannot practice with the team or play with the team until he says does said thing. And he's under fire from the ESPN coons and the basketball coons who is making this about them and saying he's selfish and all that. And Kyrie came out then the Instagram live explaining his position as best he could why the live feed was allowed to run. Eventually it got cut off, but he talked about his safety and the research that he'd done and that it wasn't about anybody else. And they loved playing and maybe things would get worked out. And it's unfortunate the brother's standing alone, but it's the same thing Ali did. And there's been comparisons there. And Mammy Coons and others have come out against him because of the comparisons, even though he didn't say it, others have said about him. And I would concur because the hottest thing right now is the Jab Jab Left Right cross. Back in the 60s, it was the Vietnam War. And these manufactured wars that white folks say this particular island or land or nation is something's wrong with them and they're a terrorist group or they need democracy and or they have said some things about us and we need to go over there and whoop their ass. America's like, yeah, that's what we do. We whoop ass. Who talking shit? Let's go whoop their ass. And Ali said, no, I'm not going over there killing black people. Y'all send motherfuckers all over the world to kill black people, to dominate them. I don't want to be involved in that. So I refuse my induction to the armed forces. I'm not going to have Charlie, as Malcolm X said, oh, you can give me a plane full of bombs to bomb an enemy. Well, I don't have to go too far to bomb that enemy. I ain't got to fly 5,000 miles away. I get in the plane and just start bombing immediately. Don't give me no guns and planes. I'm telling you and say I can bomb. Shit, you got me fucked up. So they trying to money shame Kyrie, trying to say he's a selfish individual, saying he's crazy. This has been going on when black people start waking up. He said things like we should separate and get our own land, our own league. He's referenced certain empowerment individuals, and they're getting very nervous about Kyrie's thought process. He's always been very intelligent young man. Went to Duke on his own educational merit. I think he's from Australia or some shit like that. Not an FBA, but got an FBA spirit. Or maybe half FBA. I'm not sure. And cold blooded on the court. Cold blooded. A descendant of the Mamba institution of basketball. So I appreciate his stance, and we have to continue to support our brother. Uh, and hopefully he has the end game. And ultimately, the end game should be separating from this league, shutting it down because there's no black talent. Yeah, white players have improved. They have improved over the years, but they won't be able to touch the league that we create. And even those players, like it was back in segregationist times, that they wanted to test themselves against the black champions. They would be considered state champions, and in a segregated school system wouldn't even be counted. But you got brothers averaging 40 and 20 against their own competition, and never having that opportunity to face the entity that is getting all the fanfare and mainstream love and on television and all that. They want a piece of them. They're competitors. They made a whole movie about that. It was an interesting movie. I forgot the name of it. About two undefeated high school teams, one black, one white, had like an unsanctioned game, and the brothers won by one. And they actually had to movieise it because in the real game it wasn't even close. They said it played, but the brothers beat the hell out of them boys. So for the movie, they had to make some adjustments here. Okay, y'all can't lose by 100. You lose by one. Like, oh, the talent was so close, and then the brothers pulled it out at the end. Nah, it was an ass woman from jump. These crackers, they had no chance. And it's gonna be the same way if the brothers separate and create their own league. It's gonna be old school racism, which America would do. America would do such a polarizing thing that they wouldn't give the airtime for this new black league because they're gonna run with billions of dollars and billions of dollars of sponsorships. But it's either they keep the relationship with the NBA or this new league. This is a perfect opportunity for blacks who are affluent to get involved. The Jews who control everything are gonna say, no, nigga, you stay your ass over here in the NBA. Now you have an opportunity. They'll open up doors for blacks in the NBA. But the ownership door is always closed. These crackers keep the motherfucking door closed. They operate nepotism. The only job Michael Jordan was able to get CEO wise was the Charlotte Hornets, which Brother Johnson had sold. And so we always selling shit. Or maybe he got told to sell. I'm not sure. Maybe he got gangstered on. Blacks build up things quickly and then sell out. And it's not really a sellout. It's kind of like you get forced to buy out. I'm gonna buy your shit out. I mean, that's mob moves. They come up to you like, listen, your business is doing great. I'm gonna buy you out. I'm gonna make an offer that you can't refuse. And initially, my dumb ass was thinking like, damn, he probably gonna offer him something like really good. It's just so good you couldn't refuse it. Then I realized, oh, he can't refuse it. This is the offer. Take it. That's pretty much it. That's ain't really. I mean, you can not take it. I wouldn't advise you to do that because the scariest thing is to deny a request or say no, everybody leave, and now you got to figure out how they gonna kill you. You get your car can blow up. You walk down the street, they can drive by your ass. You know what I'm saying? They can kill your mom. They blow your motherfucking house up. Who knows how they're gonna do it? But now you gotta live that last little bit of your life in fear until final moment comes. So probably it's a good idea just to take the deal. They got judges and police officers and lawyers on their payroll. Yeah, I mean that's organizing to the 27th power. Man, if we could do that, Kyrie will be protected on all levels. Coons wouldn't dare speak ill of him because people will be making phone calls. Hey nigga, you better find another angle to support Kyrie, right? We just gonna tell you one time, Shaq. I don't give a fuck how big you is. I don't give a shit, nigga. You played steel, but you ain't really steel, nigga. Nigga, I will shoot your ass and the bullet will go through your skin. You hear me? We have to develop that thing to protect Kyrie. And I hope he doesn't play. I hope others speak out. I hope others decide, this is not something I want to do. That other names start popping up. This is just the beginning. Brothers and sisters, thank you for listening. Get your hand in my pocket. And Sports Revolutionaries, donate to the Cash App for those who are listening on the rewatch. I'm out. Peace.